Hi, and welcome back to the Suburban Chateau. I'm Stephanie Everett. And if you watched my last video, we saw the incredible city of Budapest, all illuminated at nighttime. Well, today we're going back to the city in the daytime to learn a lot more about the history of this incredible place. So I will talk a little bit more about the Buda side being the old town, kind of the wealthier side up on the hill, and the Pest side is the marriage of the old and the new culture in the city. And so we got to see both sides of the city and see incredible buildings and architecture in both parts of this incredible city. And when we went into the Buddha section, we just saw amazing churches and of course, we could see from the hill down to the Pest side. And then we went to the Budapest side and saw, again, just more things there and such a rich history. And since we've been on the tour, I've gone back and learned so much more about the history. And I'm a little bit obsessed with Franz Joseph and Elizabeth right now. We're definitely deep into the Netflix series since we've returned, but really trying to catch up on my history so that I can understand what I actually saw, which was just incredible all the way around. Up until this point, our group had only been on the Pest side of Budapest. We had been docked there, and all of our activities had taken place there. So it was time we crossed the Margit Bridge, and we got to see a lot more of the Buda side of Budapest. So this would be more of the castle grounds, of course, Castle Hill. We got to see an interesting inclined plane or funicular that takes you right up to Castle Hill where all of the action is. We did get to pass the Széchenyi chain bridge and got to see that in the daylight. So it was a lot different than when we saw it lit up the night before. And then it was time to get ourselves up to St. Matthias Church. And here you can see a little bit of the entrance from on foot, and of course the stairs there, but the bus took us right to St. Matthias Church on the top of Castle Hill in Buda. Now, Matthias Church sits along with several other important structures in the historic Holy Trinity Square in Buda, high upon Castle Hill. In the center of that square is the Holy Trinity statue, a statue that was erected to honor the memory of the victims of the Black Plague in 1691 and again in 1709. To the right of that statue is the incredible Matthias Church. And if you remember the story we learned in Budapest by night, Saint Stephen, the first king of Hungary, was the first to erect a church on this very site in 1015. And in the story, he had an heir, a son, who he loved very much and was very excited for the prospects of his son. His son died unexpectedly, and St. Stephen, in his grief, decided to give not only the church, but also Hungary over to the care of the Blessed Virgin. So sometimes this church is referred to as the Church of Mary. It's built in many different styles, but Baroque architecture was one of the prominent styles that this church uses in its construction. And it's most evident in the roof tiles. When you look, you see a ceramic glazed, colorful tile. And these were called Zolnay tiles. To the right of Matthias Church is the incredible St. Stephen statue that, of course, was put there to commemorate the first king of Hungary. And behind St. Stephen is the Fisherman's Bastion, where you can stand and peer over from Buda Heights down into the Pest side and, of course, see the incredible Danube. It's a place where tourists visit many times so they can get that vantage point of all of Budapest. Matthias Church is also known as the Church of the Assumption of the Buda Castle and also referred to as the Church of Mary. The first church built on the site, as we said before, it was erected by St. Stephen in 1015. This original church was destroyed by Mongols in 1241, and the current building was rebuilt as a much smaller church in the latter half of the 13th century, and then adapted to more of a Gothic style in the 14th century. The church reached its peak of prosperity during the reign of King Matthias Corvinus. Matthias constructed the southwest bell tower, and the church was nearly destroyed in 1526 during the Turkish invasion. And in 1541, the church was converted to a mosque by the Turks after the final conquest of Buda. Many of the interior sculptures and altars were destroyed, but the Church of Mary survived. When Buda was retaken in 1686, the church became the property of the Franciscans, and then the Jesuit order, which restored it in a more Baroque style. Final modifications took place under the leadership of the incredible Franz Joseph of Austria between 1874 and 1896. A very interesting story about Matthias Church is known as the Mary Wonder or the Marian Miracle, and it refers to the appearance of a hidden Madonna statue during the 1686 siege of Buda. After the Ottomans had occupied the church as a mosque, the wall collapsed during a cannon blast, revealing an ancient statue, and that sight caused fear and led to the Ottoman forces' collapse and the subsequent Christian victory. As we left Matthias Church, we walked to the Fisherman's Bastion and took a look at the incredible sights from the top of Castle Hill, including the Pest side. Here we were able to see the Parliament building by daytime and all of the buildings that we had passed on the other Pest side of the river, and really got to see an amazing vantage point of the two sides of Budapest and the importance of both sides in that city's history. right before we left Holy Trinity Square, our guide showed us one last statue that was really incredible. And this was a bronze cast replica of Matthias Church and the Fisherman's Bastian and St. Stephen's statue that was done with braille, so that if someone was blind, they could actually see Matthias Church and the surrounding area. Heroes Square is one of the major squares on the Pest side of Budapest. This square features the Millennium Monument with statues featuring the 7 chieftains of the Magyars and other important Hungarian leaders. The monument is flanked by 2 important museums, the Museum of Fine Arts, and on the other side of the square, the Palace of the Arts. Construction began on this iconic monument in 1896 to commemorate the 1000th anniversary of the Hungarian conquest and the foundation of the Hungarian state in 896. Construction was mostly completed by 1900, with some additional sculptures added in 1906 when the installation was completed. After leaving Heroes Square, we got the chance to look back up at the incredible sights of Buda and, of course, the Danube River, seeing Matthias Church and the incredible Castle Hill. Next, we were passing the Shoes on Danube Bank Memorial. This memorial commemorates the 3,500 people, 800 of them were Jews, that were shot on the Danube during a hostile encounter in 1944. This monument was erected in 2005, and we ended up back where we started at the Margit Bridge. Well, I hope you really enjoyed seeing a little bit of Budapest by night and Budapest by day, and seeing the 2 incredible sides of Budapest and just the incredible architecture and the rich history of this incredible cultural city. And this was just the kickoff. So this is the first night of our cruise and the first day of our excursion. So I hope you really enjoyed it. Our next video will feature the artist colonies in Tundra, the Visegrad Citadel, and the Basilica of Esztergom, all on the incredible Danube River.